And our guests this morning, our broadcasters, James Green and Carl Walker. Gents, a very good morning to you both. We're going to start with the fallout from last night's Champions League games with both City and Liverpool in action. We're going to start with Liverpool as well because, James, we were led to believe that this was an exceptionally tough group. Atletico Madrid, Porto, they're in there as well with AC Milan. It sounds like one that they would have been pretty scared of going up against. Anyway, 6 wins out of 6, record breakers, and they've absolutely cruised it. What's going on?
Jasper, they made it look easy, didn't they? Made the whole group look easy. I think we all looked at those Champions League groups before they started the tournament this year, and we all looked at it and went, well, Liverpool could struggle. It could be a tricky one for them, but they've completely squashed that. It's given Jurgen Klopp the chance to breed some youngsters in the team as well throughout the campaign because it's been so successful. And they've absolutely smashed it. I mean, if you look on paper, it's a rejuvenated AC Milan side. It's La Liga champions Atletico Madrid, a usually very difficult Porto side, but they've just played with so much swag and quality like they have done all season. I think at the start of the year when everyone was talking about Chelsea and Manchester City, even Manchester United, Liverpool were put on the back burner of everybody's minds, weren't they? They've completely changed that around now. They are well and truly probably the favourites for the UCL. They're probably the favourites for the Premier League, or up there at least with Manchester City. Jurgen Klopp's side are back, well and truly back this season.
Kyle, Mo Salah, we can't not talk about him. 20 goals this season, most goals in a group stage of a European competition for Liverpool with 7. And also, is he already a Liverpool legend? Can we call him that?
Definitely. I think you've got to throw into the mix 9 assists this season as well. Liverpool fans have always been very vocal about Mo Salah, talking about him and saying that he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. And people will continuously compare him to Eden Hazard and say, which of them is better? I think Mo Salah is proving that he is able to do it, not just for Liverpool fans, but also for the Premier League. I'd say that on form right now, he is the best player in the world. I'd say that actually what he's managing to do and the numbers that he's managing to rack up this season, I'd be very, very surprised if he didn't win the Golden Boot. He will help Liverpool in their chase to win back the Premier League and UEFA Champions League as well. I've been so impressed with him. And I think if you look at the Liverpool players that they've had over the years, going back to the 80s, talking about absolute Liverpool legends, Mo Salah, he definitely deserves to be placed amongst all of those because look at what he's managing to do. Look at the success that he's had. Plus, for Mo Salah, look what he's managing to do within his own country as well for Egypt. He's a legend there, and I think that status is definitely transferring to Merseyside as well.
Speaking of Liverpool legends, James, Divock Origi, another goal last night. He is a cult hero, definitely, for Liverpool fans, for sure. But on a serious note, how important is it to have a player like Origi? He's happy to sit on the bench, it would appear, most of the time, but he makes an impact so often when he's called upon. It's almost as important as some of those first 11 players.
Yeah, he's very important, and he is the epitome of a cult hero. You ask any Liverpool fan, they absolutely love what he brings. But to keep someone happy like that is so tough in modern-day football. Footballers want to be playing football. They want to be playing football regularly. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm sure at times he hasn't been sulking, he hasn't been upset. He's probably chomping at the bit every single week to get on that field and play for that Liverpool side. But what's so impressive about him, that it doesn't matter what his mind frame is, as soon as he steps over that white line, his performances are second to none. He puts all that effort in. I mean, look at his Champions League record. His 4th goal for Liverpool in the Champions League was last night. His previous 3 came twice in the semi-final against Barcelona and once in the Champions League final. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. But it just shows the strength of depth that Liverpool have right now. It's something that we all questioned maybe at the start of the season, whether they had the strength to compete on all fronts this season, but they have proven they have. And when they're keeping players like Divock Origi happy and excelling when he comes onto the field, it's only going to help them moving forward this season.
All right, Carl, shall we move on to Manchester City?
Let's do it. We've got to.
Go on then. OK, so defeat last night, but, I mean, they're already through. What can we read into that performance?
Looking at them, I think a lot of, from my friends and Manchester City fans that I saw online, disappointment. I think that Pep from his post-match press conference, you could hear the disappointment and actually them just saying that really it wasn't good enough, which I think you can admit that it wasn't good enough going into that game. Looking at the squad, Kevin De Bruyne, yes, he was coming back, but it's Kevin De Bruyne. You think that he'd be able to pull a few strings in the middle of the park, and it just didn't seem to work for us last night. And yes, we got that goal back with Riyad Mahrez, but actually looking at Manchester City, looking at what they're capable of, I think that, yeah, disappointing is a word that gets thrown around for last night's performance. But it's not all doom and gloom, because as you said, Manchester City are going through. I think that the run of form recently, top of the Premier League as well, you can look into it and say, all right, that happens. But at the end of the season, if Manchester City are still fighting for the Premier League, if they're getting towards the latter stages of the Champions League as well, who cares? No one will be talking about this result against RB Leipzig. I think there's a few numbers that you can throw around there in terms of the amount of goals conceded, which doesn't look too good when it comes to the Champions League, because 10 goals conceded in 6 games, that isn't a good thing at all, considering we've only conceded 9, I think it is, in 15 Premier League games. So there's obviously an issue there. But last night, if you're looking at the players that started, the fact that we can bring in a few others, it shows the strength in depth, but it does also show some of the weaknesses that Manchester City do have as well. So I think that moving forward, Pep will use that as a way to actually assess, to look at what they've got and how they can improve.
True. No one's going to be talking about it then, but we are going to talk about it this morning, Kyle.
Yeah, we are.
Tried to get rid of it. I tried to get out there. One question. Hopefully, I hope it was done.
Well, OK, I'll tell you what, we'll move on from that specific part, because we want to actually talk about Kyle Walker instead of to Kyle Walker. Just for this question, Kyle, because I'm going to direct it at James. Of course, that red card last night, which Guardiola didn't seem too happy with. How big a loss is it that he won't be in the round of 16 games? And how do you think they'll adapt to that, James?
Yeah, it's a big loss. It was a moment of madness, something that actually I thought Kyle Walker had put that to bed, that side of his game where he just kind of loses his head for a bit. He's been so consistent of late. I don't really understand where it came from. It was such a bizarre night, really. Empty stadiums, which I have to say, I can't stand. I can't believe we watched football in empty stadiums for so long. It was frustrating not seeing the fans there. But it didn't stop a heated atmosphere on the field. Look, Kyle Walker's got to learn from that again. To learn at that level of his experience that he has is probably why Pep Guardiola is so angry with him. But look, Manchester City got strength in depth. Cancelo could easily slot in on the right-hand side. Zinchenko's well and truly capable at left-back. They finished top of their group. Yeah, they might have a tough draw, though. There's some really top sides in there for the last 16. But they've got plenty of depth, certainly within their squad, to cope with a suspension like that. But, yeah, it was a disappointing performance. I think Carl summed it up pretty well. I don't think I can really push too much in there on you, Carl, really. It was poor at the back. I think, look, Pep will learn a few lessons about some of his players he brought in, because, look, Manchester City players are all fighting to be a part of a fantastic team that's winning lots of games. They all want to be playing. And a few of them last night, I think, would have given Pep Guardiola some food for thought moving forward.
Carl, what did you make of Kevin De Bruyne? Because he made his first start for the first time in over a month.
Yeah, it was interesting because coming back from obviously testing positive for COVID-19, you think he's had a few weeks out, and we know that how much football you actually miss out on when you take 4 weeks out even. So for him, it was a chance for him to get back on the pitch, and it felt like there was no pressure. I know that a lot of people were talking about why bring him back in right now. It's a dead rubber game. Everyone was saying that, but it was a perfect opportunity for him to stretch his legs and to get out there. And there was moments of magic throughout the game. And Kevin De Bruyne, as I said before, he is Kevin De Bruyne. He can be one of the best midfielders in the world on his day, and we've seen at times that he can be consistent in doing that as well. And the only way that he's going to get back to that is getting as much game time as possible. So I think that it was a great opportunity for him to come in. You could see the frustration. He had a few free kicks. There was a moment where he pushed the goalkeeper to make a great save. But I think for Kevin De Bruyne, it's about now getting that game time. There's plenty of opportunity for him to to do that throughout December. A very, very busy Christmas period, and I'm sure that he'll be very excited to get back in, especially into the Premier League, and to help Manchester City extend that lead at the top. And who knows, he might get a run of games, he might get some goals in there. We know that he can get assists as well, so it should be hopefully an exciting Christmas period for him.
Yeah, right. Before we get to the break, we're going to ask you both this question. James, kick us off. Who's more likely to win the Champions League overall? The two sides that we've talked about just now, Liverpool or Manchester City?
That's really tough at the moment. Do you know what? Because Carl's sitting there, I'm going to say Liverpool. See the shock in his face. Look, Liverpool been there before. I think they've gone under the radar. It's worked really well for them this year. They look in frightening form. They're showing that they've got a bit more quality and depth that maybe we gave them credit for. Players are coming back from injury. It's a really busy period, December, so it's a long way to go to get even to the new year. So to talk about May is even further away. But I think Liverpool have got every chance of getting there. Look, a Liverpool-Man City final would be absolutely fantastic.